the worst presidents in American history. Have you ever wondered, out of all the presidents who sat in the Oval Office, who were the worst? Like the leaders whose choices shook the entire nation, wrecked economies, almost split the country in half, or simply did nothing. Well, today, buckle up, because we're diving into America's biggest presidential disasters. Some of these names you know, some will surprise you, and all of them changed the course of history, not always for the better. So take a deep breath, relax, and let's explore the biggest leadership failures to ever hit the White House. Let's begin. 1. James Buchanan, the man who watched the nation burn. Our first stop, the 1850s. Picture this. The United States is boiling with arguments about slavery, states threatening to leave the Union, and everyone looking at the president for leadership. And then James Buchanan steps in. And what does he do during the biggest crisis in American history? Almost nothing. He believed the Constitution didn't allow him to stop southern states from seceding.
We don't have the power to stop them.
He didn't try to negotiate. He didn't calm tensions. He didn't rally the nation. He simply hoped the crisis would fix itself. Spoiler alert, it did not. Because of his inaction, the U.S. slid directly into the Civil War, the bloodiest conflict in American history. Many historians rank him as the worst president ever. Not because he made one terrible decision, but because he didn't make any. 2. Andrew Johnson, the president who fought progress.
Congratulations, Andrew. You are now the leader of the United States.
Imagine becoming president right after Abraham Lincoln, one of the greatest leaders the world has ever seen.
I want to change everything.
Now imagine doing the exact opposite of what the country needed. That's Andrew Johnson. After the Civil War, America needed healing. It needed protection for freed slaves. It needed strong leadership to rebuild. Johnson said nope. He blocked laws that protected black Americans. He vetoed civil rights bills. He was so stubborn and combative that Congress literally said, "We've had enough." He became the first president in U.S. history to be impeached. Johnson didn't unite the country. He pushed it backward, and his presidency slowed racial progress for generations. 3. Herbert Hoover, the Great Depression disaster. Next stop, the roaring 1920s have just ended. Stock markets crash, banks collapse, millions lose their jobs.
Is there any work available today? Sorry, nothing right now, but check back tomorrow.
I really need a job for my family.
You need a president who acts fast, bold, aggressive, confident. Instead, you get Herbert Hoover, the king of let's wait and see.
My fellow Americans, our economy is down, but let's wait and see.
Hoover believed the economy would fix itself. He refused to provide direct help to struggling Americans. People were starving, homeless, desperate, and Hoover said the government shouldn't interfere too much.
We should not interfere too much about the situation of our people. Others are only lazy, reaching their dreams.
The result, what started as a downturn, spiraled into a full-blown Great Depression, the worst in American history. He wasn't evil. He just completely misread the moment. Sometimes doing too little is as bad as doing too much. 4. Franklin Pierce, lighting the fuse of war. Franklin Pierce isn't a household name, but the consequences of his presidency were huge. Pierce signed the Kansas-Nebraska Act, a law that basically said, hey, states can decide if they want slavery or not. Sounds democratic, right? Wrong. This decision led to violence, riots, and bloodshed in the territories. People literally rushed into Kansas just to influence slave versus free status. The territory became so violent that reporters nicknamed it Bleeding Kansas. Pierce's choice didn't just cause chaos, it pushed the nation even closer to civil war. Sometimes one bad law can change everything. 5. Warren G. Harding, the scandal president. Now we jump to the 1920s, a decade of glitz, jazz, and corruption. Let me introduce you to Warren G. Harding, a man who wanted to be everyone's friend. Nice guy, yes. Good president. Hey,
no!
Absolutely not. Harding hired friends and political buddies into powerful positions. Those friends started stealing money, accepting bribes, and running massive corruption schemes. The biggest scandal? Teapot Dome, where officials literally sold U.S. oil reserves for personal profit. Harding wasn't the mastermind, but he empowered the people who did the damage. Imagine hiring your Barkada to run the government. Yeah, that's basically what happened. 6. Ulysses S. Grant, the hero who struggled as president. Grant was a war hero, the general who helped win the Civil War. But leading a battlefield and leading a nation are two very different things. Grant trusted people too easily, and many of those people were, let's say, not trustworthy. His administration became notorious for scandals, fraud, and corruption. Not because Grant was corrupt, but because he didn't control the people under him. Still, history has softened on Grant because he supported civil rights and fought the KKK. But presidential leadership, not his strongest area. 7. Richard Nixon, the Watergate president. Here comes the big one. Richard Nixon was brilliant, smart, strategic, foreign policy genius. But also paranoid, very paranoid. During his re-election campaign, his team broke into the Democratic headquarters at the Watergate building. Instead of telling the truth, Nixon helped cover it up. The scandal exploded. Investigations started. Recordings from inside the White House revealed everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with a heavy heart that I address you today.
Nixon eventually resigned, the only U.S. president to ever do so. He might have done great things internationally, but Watergate destroyed his legacy. It's a perfect example of how bad decisions can erase good achievements. 8. George W. Bush, war, crisis, and controversy. Now to the 2000s. George W. Bush faced some of the biggest events in modern history, including 9/11. But the decisions that followed still create heated debates today. Bush pushed for the Iraq War, claiming there were weapons of mass destruction.
We must address the threat of Iraq's weapons of mass destruction.
Years later, no such weapons were found. The war lasted nearly a decade, cost thousands of lives, and destabilized an entire region. Then, in 2008, the financial crisis hit, the worst collapse since the Great Depression. Some blame Bush's economic policies for contributing to the crash. He wasn't malicious. He genuinely believed he was doing the right thing. But the consequences of his decisions were huge. 9. Millard Fillmore, the forgotten disaster. Millard Fillmore, a president most people forget, and maybe that's for a reason. He supported the Fugitive Slave Act, which forced citizens to return escaped slaves. Even in states where slavery was illegal, it outraged the North, strengthened the South, and pushed the country closer to civil war. Fillmore didn't unite America, he split it further. 10. Sir John Tyler, the president without a party. John Tyler became president after the death of President Harrison. His own political party, the Whigs, kicked him out. Imagine being fired by your own team. He blocked his party's priorities, fought with Congress, and ended up isolated and ineffective. Tyler's presidency is considered one of the most dysfunctional in history. So, what did we learn from America's worst presidents? Here's the truth. Sometimes the worst leaders aren't the loudest or the most dramatic. Sometimes they're the ones who freeze in moments of crisis. The ones who trust the wrong people. The ones who divide instead of unite. Or the ones who let ambition blind them. But here's the good news. Every presidential failure became a lesson, a turning point, a warning for the future. Because leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about making tough decisions, taking responsibility, and learning from the past. America has had amazing presidents and truly terrible ones. But every single one helped shape the story of a nation still growing, still learning, and still moving forward. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment which president you think was the worst. And I'll see you in the next video.